Now introducing the starting lineups for your East Georgia State College.
Teams that lost yesterday. Florida Southwestern to South Georgia Tech. East Georgia State in overtime to Coastal Alabama South. And let's take a look at the gentlemen who will be on the floor first. These are the fellas that will take to the hardwood for Southwestern: Baker, Thomas, Lindsay, Franklin, and Hopkins. And meanwhile, for East Georgia State, as that is tipped into the corner, Lewis, Colton, McDowell, Reynolds, and Monair. Stacks up to be an excellent day of basketball, and we'll keep you updated too on what's going on football-wise today. Big football day in junior college and in the NCAA. One possession for East Georgia State. Toss into the corner, jumper is no good from long range for Franklin. Horn snag for East Georgia, Colton's got it. Brings it to the mid part of the floor. At the hangar, with some changes to the hangar as compared to the last time we were here. Well, the next to the last time. Last time we were here, we were aware of the changes, but new to the year. And to the hangar, new scoreboards, new mini jumbotrons. Jumper is good for Lindsay. Bit of a scoop to lay in, and first couple of points of the half come to Florida Southwestern. Working it to the top of the key, then over to Monair. Out of the corner comes Colton. Jumper dropped in from long range. And that lead hops over to the other side of the floor. Buccaneers and Bobcats. Into the corner to Franklin. Franklin taking in baseline, gets around Colton. Feeds into the paint. Baker with a lean in. And early we're flip-flopping. Lead from one side of the floor to the other. Into the corner to Colton, who's already got a three. Back out to McDowell. Over to Lewis, brings it into the paint. Down low, Reynolds. And there is a whistle, there is a foul. Reynolds given a push, and that means he is given a, well, thought a chance to go to the line. Apparently not while in the act of shooting. How about another three try, and how about another three for Colton? There's a three from the other side of the floor. Lindsay with a miss. Over it goes to McDowell. Back it goes to Colton. Feeds to Colton, and Colton the miss. Franklin into the corner. Three-point try. Baker not there. And Colton with the board. Got the looking one and couldn't get it to drop. Lewis able to get it back, then loses it. It is Lindsay who will take it away and bring it to the Buccaneer into the floor. Out of the corner, that is Franklin. Back over to Franklin, just inside the stripe, gets it to rattle around and drop in. And we've got the game's first tie at 6. Down low, the baseline move. Reynolds' shot won't fall and is rebounded by Baker. Kind of a miniature alley-oop to Baker. Baker with a miss just off the fingertips and off the rim. In traffic. Jumper off the rim, but a foul called on the trip to the stripe by McDowell. And apparently still not in the act of shooting when fouled. And it'll be brought in from the baseline. Over to McDowell and then sends it to the other side of the floor to Lewis. That's Colton. Out front give to Monair. And that will travel out of bounds, having last touched the fingertips of Jaysean Thomas. Colton to put it in play from the near sidelines. McDowell, little stutter step and the feed into the paint. Thought I heard a whistle on the other end of the floor. Apparently did not. They take it to this end. It is dropped in by Lindsay. He drew the foul and has a chance for three. So it is Lindsay, the sophomore, with an opportunity for the old-fashioned three. And he will extend the lead to three. Colton coming out of the corner, takes the handoff. Brings it to the right side near the timeline. Back out front it goes to Monair. Picks up the dribble. Colton's got it back. Out near midcourt, then into the right corner. Lewis over to Monair. Handoff given to McDowell. And that is tossed in the direction of Reynolds, but Reynolds didn't know if the pass was for he or someone else going baseline. And we will have a timeout on the floor at the 14:47 mark. It is the Jets Veterans Day Classic on JockJive. Coach Travis Garrett, obviously very familiar with the hangar. Coached the men's basketball program at South Georgia Tech up until about 3 years ago. And I believe now in his second season at East Georgia State. (9-6) Southwestern lead. Talking about junior college football. How about 1 and 2 meeting today? Hutch and Iowa Western. A lot of big games in junior college football. Mississippi's into their postseason. Texas into their postseason. Drive to the glass. It is laid in by Thomas. Georgia Military College in Pennsylvania, their season finale against Lackawanna. Monroe and Snow. Boy, a lot of great games. Fed into the paint, that will hop off of the fingertips of Jalen Colbert. And on the other end of the floor, dropped in by Lindsay. And Florida Southwestern building a 7-point lead. McDowell, open lane, able to get in and block it though, Baker. Baker recovering defensively. Around the horn, left corner drop in by A.J. Hopkins. And the double-digit lead has prompted an East Georgia State timeout.
University of Alabama Online, where legends log in. A tradition of excellence. Decades of experience in distance learning. Empowering students of all ages. More than 90 degree and certificate programs to advance your career. UA Online. Flexible, affordable, legendary. Let your computer be your campus. Visit online.ua.edu.
Ten-point Florida Southwestern lead as we get back to your basketball here at the hangar. A triple header. First of three. A couple of men's games and one ladies outing. Fed down to Monaire. And Monaire will turn around, trying to get the favorable roll off the rim. Did pick up the foul committed by Tyrone Baker. And Monaire, averaging a couple of points a game, will go to the strike. Yesterday, East Georgia State went to overtime with Coastal Alabama South. Meanwhile, Florida Southwestern losing in regulation to South Georgia Tech. Couple of Monaire free throws makes it an 8-point ball game. Into the corner it goes to Lindsay. Drives. Shot misses, but there is a whistle and foul. And it is Tyrone Baker shooting. This is an excellent free throw shooting team, 81% in a couple of ball games. One and one on the year. Third outing in the season. And both free throws made by Baker. Lobbed into the corner to Colton. Off Monaire's fingertips and picked up by Franklin. He'll sidestep a Bobcat on the other end of the floor. Shot missed, but rebounded by Lindsay. Over to the left side, Lindsay's got it. Looks into the corner, fires down low. Franklin lost it, got it back. Over it goes left side. Another three from Hopkins. And Florida Southwestern with a 21-8 lead. Wasn't that long ago, it was a 6-4 advantage. East Georgia State. But the bulk of the scoring since belonging to the guys in Aqua. Over goes to Hopkins. Thomas directing a little traffic on the floor with the dribble, picks it up and shoots near the elbow. Baker the board, trying to get it out to Hopkins. Baker getting it back. And he will be hooked by Jalen Colburn. Will he hook Colburn? He'll hook Colburn. Hang on, my hook's wrong. So it is East Georgia State basketball, 11:31 to play. Half number one, checking into the lineup, Zyquan Grant for East Georgia. Also on the floor is Zaharius Baker. And you've got Janelle Sindab. And it will go off of Sindab out of bounds. Lone remaining starter is Monair. It is thrown away on the inbounds to Franklin. And he will lay it in on the other end of the floor. Picking up the dribble, that is Grant. Over to Baker, back out front, Sindab. Puts it up near the charity stripe, just a little bit short. Loose ball out of bounds off the Bobcats. (23-8) lead early. Jumper, top of the key, Hopkins, 3 of those for that Buccaneer. And a 26-8 ball game. Over to Sindab at the timeline on the right side. Zips it down low to Colbert. Gets into the paint, lost it. Might have been a Buccaneer that created the loss of the round ball, and it was. That is Rias Jones committing the foul. It'll be his first personal. And it's got Jalen Colbert shooting. Colbert looking for his first points of the game. And as a matter of fact, every current Bobcat on the floor scores. The 8 Bobcat points have come from guys on the bench. Guiderson Lucsaint checking in for East Georgia. And a couple of misses from the stripe. 72% free throw shooting team. It's not a bad shooting squad, but struggling at the stripe there. And got a blocking foul. Charge to Baker. Non-shooting, it'll be brought in from the near sidelines. Lindsay. Over to Camarnie Gregory, who is now in for Florida Southwestern. Gregory's got it, looking down low, timeline right side, dumps it to Hopkins. Back over to Lindsay, and then a reach by Sindab, and that'll be a Sindab foul. Got a timeout on the floor, 9:38 to play, half number 1. Florida Southwestern out big early.
South Georgia Technical College, where we make it happen.
Whether your dream is to become a welder, a nurse, a restaurant owner, electrician, or aircraft mechanic, South Georgia Technical College can help you make it happen. SGTC has over 200 associate degree, diploma, and technical certificate of credit programs of study available. Visit our website at southgatech.edu for more information or to apply, or call 800-928-0283.
So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen.
26-8 lead. It belongs to Florida Southwestern. 9:38 to play, half number 1. Coming up at the half, we'll talk with Dave Elner, the commissioner of the GCAA. That was a conversation that actually aired in a Georgia Military College football game about 3 weeks ago. So it was billed for a halftime that's a little longer than in basketball games. So I said that to say this: I am going to rush the start into the conversation. So we're going to wrap up the first half immediately and get into the chat with Dave Elner to try to get it all in. It's about 15 and a half minutes long, and the half in basketball 15 minutes long, so we got to create a little extra time. Well, it looked like there was going to be a block by Colburn, but instead there's a point from Jones. was able to power his way through the potential block. And the lead goes to 20, thrown away, picked up by Hopkins. Down front to Gregory, and then back over it goes to Lindsay. Brings it baseline. Hopkins wants another three. He's making a living by Jan the strike. That's 4. 12 points in the game, all from long range for Hopkins. Out front it goes to Baker, hand off to Sindam. Leans in, drops it in for a pair. And the Bobcats to double digits. Out front it goes to Lindsay. Screen set by Jones. Jumper missed. Jones had it, lost it. Finally it is Yvonne Paul who is in that got the board. Gregory with a miss on the 3 try and able to knock it off the leg of Baker in an attempt to get the rebound in the corner. So it'll be brought in from the baseline at the 8-minute mark. Half number 1. Hopkins, can he make it 5 straight? Nope. Hey, 4 out of 5 ain't bad. Heading the other way with it is Grant. Over to Sindam. He'll put up the short 2, not there. Lindsay's got it going the other way. Taking a swat at it from the backside, Baker, but still able to hit Lindsay. Little give and go back over to Gregory, and Grant make that to Grant. And Grant laying it in. That is the second bucket from the bench in the ball game. Fed into the paint. Jones smacked as he goes to the hoop. And that'll put Jones at the stripe. Jones with a couple of points in the ball game. But he is used to scoring a little more than a couple of points. 18 in that first game of the season. And a good free throw shooting continuing. 81% coming in. Haven't done a thing to harm that 81% free throw shooting average. Coleman sending it down low to Culver. Sindam with it, top of the key. Brings it into the corner, over it will go to Grant. Grant, open seam, couldn't get it to drop. Over it goes to Jalen Winger, and Winger with a miss. Put back not there. Is there a third opportunity? Paul losing it out of bounds, but it was off of a Bobcat. So Buccaneers still with possession. Got a jump ball as Colburn tries to rip it away from the Bucks. Possession arrow will send us to the other end of the floor. This end, everybody was headed to the other end, but the arrow at the scorer's table pointing towards the Southwestern end of the floor. And yeah, that's what we'll do. Bring it in from the Florida, not the Georgia end. Got the alley-oop and jam. Van de Paul. Into the corner, three-pointer, count it, bucket for Grant. East Georgia would love to go on a run to narrow this gap before heading into the locker room at halftime. They've been down by as much as about 24-25, currently by 22. And it's Gregory for two. And of course, look at stats at the half. Provide them in the third stanza, give you a more precise look at what each has done. Paul committing the foul on the baseline move by Colbert. It'll be a non-shooting foul. Put in play by Sindam from the baseline. Fires it to Justin Wallace, who is in. And that will go out of bounds off of the Bucks. Grant into the corner to Gallman as we resume play. 5 minutes to play in the half. Over to Grant. Wants another three. He's got another three. It is flicked out front to Gregory and charged with the offensive. That'll be Makir. And with 4:39 remaining in the half, in Georgia, we observe the media timeout. So we've got it at the 4:39 mark with the Bucks up 39-18. Four minutes, 39 seconds left to play in the half. A 21-point Florida Southwestern lead. Coming out of the media timeout, possession belonging to the Bobcats. Over goes to Wallace. That is TJ Lewis, who is back in. And Colton, who is back in. Over to Culver at the timeline on the right side. Gallman giving it to Lewis. Lewis with a baseline move out front and goes to Gallman. Puts it on the floor, steps back, fires from the stripe, hits the two. If you're the Bobcats, you would love to trim this down to about a 10 or 12-point game by halftime. And man, if you can get it into single digits, you are ecstatic. And a foul committed, I think, by Jones in an effort to grab the rebound. It is Jones committing the personal. Jones is going to the stripe. I think he was thinking, hey, I'm the guy that got fouled. But the officials say, nope, you're the guy that did the fouling. You see him going, me? Are you sure? Jones coming off the floor. And at the stride is Jalen Culver. East Georgia, a 72% free throw shooting team, averaging 54 points per contest. This Florida Southwestern team averaging 80 plus per night. If you average 80 plus, that means you're hitting about 40 plus per half, and they're right on that average now. Hopkins trying to find that touch again. They got him 4 in a row from behind the arc. That's 2 straight misses now, as it is fed down low to Paul. And reaching around and committing the foul is Culver. .332, half number 1. And a 39-22 game put in play by Thomas, and there's another whistle. They'll put Paul on the stripe shooting. Thus far in the game, Hopkins, the only double-digit scorer, the 4 threes, has him a total of 12, but not far from double-digit land is Lindsey with 9. Paul with a couple of points. Misses the first, makes the second. $18-point lead with 3:29 to go, half number 1. Colton stepping across the mid part of the floor. And it's Lewis who works it to the elbow and then gives into the corner. Baseline move, back out front, and will go to Wallace. Wallace leaning in, the one-hander not there. Trying to get his own rebound, and what he did get was a foul. Committing the personal is McKeer. And for McKeer, the foul earns him a trip to the sidelines. Justin Wallace, the sophomore shooting. Got the front end of the 1-and-1 and earns the bonus. Coming up, South Georgia Tech and Coastal Alabama South. Flipped over to Lindsey, and Lindsey will bring it down the floor for Florida Southwestern. Back to Lindsey, given to Hopkins. And you got a 3-second violation on Paul. Well, if you're East Georgia State looking to get this game at the 10-point range, they got a chance here to trim it to 14, maybe 13, depending on shot selection. With 2:41 to play in the half, it's off the fingertips of Wallace into the hands of Lindsey. He'll bring it into the paint, short on the shot. Lewis with it. Down low, off the glass. Reynolds can't get it to fall. Lindsey's got the board. Behind the back with the dribble. Has he got double digits? Nope, off the rim. Board from Wallace. Lewis out to Colton. Again, a chance to make it 13 or 14. A lead that at one point was 24 plus. Over to Lewis. Fires over to Colton. Colton can pop those threes. Short on the shot. Lindsay's got another board. Whips it over to Thomas. Lost it, got it back in the paint, fires into the corner. Lindsay stepping to the elbow, feeds down low, and Paul jams it. Coleman, spin move. What a pass and a completion. That was just an exceptional play to Colton. Hopkins, or actually that is Franklin to the elbow. The miss, and Lewis has got it, coming out of the pack with it. Scurries to the other end of the floor, brings it to the right side. Back out front to Colton. Shot clock at 12, game clock at 26. Colton loses it, Hopkins gets it. Franklin down to Lindsay, and Lindsay jams it. A reminder, Dave Elder, our halftime guest, will go to it quickly. It's a little longer than a halftime, so we're going to do our best to get as much in as we can. Halftime, Florida Southwestern with the advantage. Our conversation with GCAA Commissioner Dave Elder. Great to have with us at halftime. Of course, we're recording this in advance of halftime, obviously, with the commissioner of the GCAA, Dave Elder. Dave, how you doing?
Oh, Robert, doing wonderful. Hope you are as well.
I am. You notice I took off the spectacles because, prior to coming on, we talked about the fact that they make you look older. So I gave folks, I guess, a little bit of both worlds, the old and the not quite as old.
Well, just don't ask for any stats from me in this interview, and then we can both leave them off and look at blurry screens and make everybody think we're young. How about that?
That's right. I recognize the voice, but right now I don't recognize the face. But Dave Elder, Commissioner of the GCAA, first of all, thanks so much. It is
My
the
pleasure.
conference's gift or sponsorship of this coverage that makes it possible. So obviously, kudos to you and the conference.
Well, we try to, over the years, the goal of mine has been try to at least cover some postseason cover postseason for all our sports, our team sports. And then, football doesn't really have a postseason with GMC. So try to make up for that by covering one of the games for them. And so we appreciate you, especially in JockJive, because you are JockJive, and what you've done over the years for us. And I'm happy that we're able to do this.
Well, and again, I know I've mentioned this several times, but thank you, because Dave Elder's the guy that opened the door to what has become pretty extensive work. Speaking of extensive work, you're very busy right now. You got soccer championships, you got cross-country championships, and we were talking before coming on a very interesting, to me, scenario set up where an Alabama team is playing in the Georgia Conference. So I guess the first place to start is those championships. What all's going on this week?
Well, it's getting ready to get really busy because it's the end of the season. We've got men's soccer, which is Division II. They're playing. We have three teams because Oxford moved up. Just a little background: Oxford moved up. They're Division III, but they decided to play Division II and Division I in men's and women's soccer, respectively, from a travel standpoint to save money, because as the lone Division III team for a district, they were having to go all the way out to Texas. So that was a long drive and a lot of money. So they're still not offering scholarships, but they're playing up in the levels. So looks like they will this Friday. Oxford and Andrew will play a semifinal play-in game to play GMC this Sunday for the championship in the men's. And the championship will be in Milledgeville on Sunday at 2:00. Oxford and Andrew will play Friday at 6:45 to determine who goes down to Milledgeville. We get that taken care of. The winner will advance to districts. Tuesday, go back to Milledgeville for the cross country championship. Our teams will all come together down there at Council Farms, where we've had it several times. Council Farms is a wonderful host, great location just out south of Milledgeville. They do a lot of Peach Belt, NAIA championships, several different championships. So it's a nice course for everybody to run. And then we'll turn around on Wednesday, the women's semifinals, soccer, and then the women's finals. And to get back to what you were saying, Southern Union in Alabama is the lone school in Alabama right now that has soccer. They have men's and women's. Their men's play Division One. Excuse me. Yes, men's play Division. Both of them play Division One. Let me back up. Trying to keep up with Georgia and then trying to keep up with Alabama. Yeah. That's Dean Myrick's job.
Yeah.
So they're both playing Division One. They're lone schools. So our conference agreed to play them a regular schedule so they wouldn't have to travel. So their men's got games. Their women's got a full schedule. Their women play basically with us. And depending on how everything works out, they could end up being in our postseason play. It's looking like that's a distinct possibility. So by playing a regular season, it does away with some of the requirements from the national level. And if they do make it in, we still got a couple games to determine where everything falls out in there as far as the seeding. But if they do make it in, then they will end up in the postseason with us and knock one of ours out.
So it is possible that an Alabama team wins the GCAA?
Can I do this and do this and do all this? Yes, that is possible. It is extremely possible. And the reason I state that is because we've had so many ties this year. They've done away with overtime. The NCAA has done away with regular season overtime. So if you go and look at the schedule standings, gosh, as you and I mentioned, I mean, there were 5 ties, 4 ties, 3 ties, 4 ties among our schools. So you could say there's a lot of parity, but a lot of times overtime will, when teams play 90 minutes, that extra 10 minutes can a lot of times teams are tanked at that point, and that's sometimes when you get that extra goal in there. But with that being said, postseason, they'll go back to overtime and the regular stuff there. So, yes, they could win it. And if they do, then we're supposed to host district the 1st of November. So, which would have Florida and Region 10 and the Carolinas and us. So, by us hosting it, what would happen was if we won, we would have our champion and our runner-up, and then Florida's champion and Region 10's champion all together on the 3rd, semifinals on the 3rd, and final on the 4th. Well, Alabama could win it, so Alabama's champion will host it. Our champion, runner-up, would go to Alabama, so there'd be a team from Alabama, a team from Georgia, a team from Florida, a team from the Carolinas. So it can get very interesting in the next week. So just buckle up and go to Presto and see where everybody stands, and we'll have all that posted on there, and we'll see where it all just falls out.
And that, of course, is the GCAA.com. All right, let's talk a little football. Georgia Military at one point ranked 11, of course, lost some really tough outings, and probably the heartbreaker was the game against Snow in overtime. But still, all in all, very good year for Georgia Military College.
Oh, you're right, Robert. The record might not reflect that. I mean, you take the Iowa Western game in Iowa, it was close till late in the game. It was 17-10, I believe, or somewhere around there, 13-10. And then, just a break here or there. They lose to Tyler. That was a tough game right there. And that was close early as well. And then, as you said, that overtime loss to Snow was a crusher. But Coach Manchester said, his guys have been fighting all year, and we've got 4 games left. Play Gordon this weekend, then they play Sussex, and then at final 2 games at College DuPage and at Lackawanna, who they already beat already. So they could come back right here with 4 straight wins. I'd like to see that. I know Coach Manchester would. So that would sort of cap the season off real well to finish up with an 8-3 season right there.
Gordon is a club football team that won the National Club Football Association Championship a year ago. And I noticed on their schedule they played Central Georgia Tech. So is there more football coming to Georgia? And is it possible that somebody joins Georgia Military in the NJCAA?
I haven't had any conversations with the presidents. Right now, as you mentioned, it is club. That's pretty much an enrollment kicker to boost enrollment. You and I both know football is probably the most expensive sport to have. You're talking, 80, 85 players and everything else that's going with it. Andrew's talking about adding club football as well. Andrew's looking at adding 7 sports. They've got a new president in, so it's crazy down at Cuthbert. But who knows what direction these presidents will go. That there's a big difference between having it as a club where kids are footing most of the bills themselves, and having it as a full varsity sport where the school is funding most of the stuff. That's quite a bit of difference. So not sure where that'll play out. I'm sure Georgia Military would love for that to happen. I mean, they're still getting to play them, but it would be nice to have them as an NJCA team and more quality wins there. So we'll see if that's 3-4 years down the road. Never say never, but I'm on the downhill slide of my career. It might be somebody else's decision within the GCAA handling that. We'll never know. We'll wait and see what happens when it gets here. How about that?
Well, you mentioned the fact that the players absorb a lot of the cost, but what about coaching? I mean, are the coaches volunteer coaches, or are they part of the faculty at each school, or does it vary?
Most of them are paid a very nominal stipend, is what I like to call it, a stipend, based on what they're actually getting. So it's tough right there. And you take a normal staff, they're probably going to have 10 or 11 coaches. A lot of the club sports might have 3, maybe 4, and you get a combination of a small stipend and or volunteers. So it's great to have. Is it run like a regular varsity sport should be? No. And that's where I have my worries, and things come up from that nature. It's just sort of like you start getting into the prep programs. I always throw the caveat to all our sports that when they're playing these prep programs and club teams, that if something happens during the contest, there's nothing that I can do from my standpoint from a penalty standpoint. If it's an NJCA school against the NJCA school, if there's an ejection, we have rules in place. Our national office, we have rules for if a kid's ejected, whether it's violent, non-violent, how many games they sit. If get some of these prep ones where they have some kids that, just really don't care a lot, and they start something and one of our guys or gals responds, then they're on the hook. And so try to warn our coaches that, you've got, if you do decide to play these schools, you've got to really stress to your players, you cannot respond if anything happens, or you will be the one. The standards still hold for ejections or things like that for our players, even when they play a non-NJCA school.
Last question, then I'll let you go. And I know it's a question that I tend to ask every time that you and I talk, but that's in regards to, sometime back there was the narrowing down of the number of schools that were participating in the GCAA. Has that narrowing down stopped? Do you see or foresee anything different where the number of schools in the conference are concerned in the future?
Well, you and I, we've discussed this over several years and seen the possibilities of maybe coming down the pike. And it has. ABAC, Abraham Baldwin, this is their last year in the GCAA. They're moving up to NAI. The reason that they're able to do that is ABAC probably has more 4-year degree programs than any of our other schools. So they're able to retain probably more kids for 2 more years. They're in good financial status as far as their academics and athletics, specifically for us, athletics. They're in good financial shape. So they went to the University System of Georgia and presented something, and USG said, okay, y'all can move forward. We have another school that's talked about it. I don't know that they've talked about it for 10 years. I don't know that they're in a position, just from what I see from the outside, financially and all those other requirements. So I don't think they have the number of degree programs. And that's really the big difference of trying to, yes, all of our schools are 4-year schools, but they're playing junior colleges program because they don't have enough 4-year degrees. You know, if you're an institution and you have 4-year degrees, how are you going to keep all those kids there? So that's the tough part of trying to navigate that for our schools. And so it's possible, another one could leave. You just never know with the dynamics of academia and state institution and their directives and their goals. All of a sudden you hear something come up out of the blue, like, wow, where'd that come from? And so, there are higher powers that be than you and I that drive the ship. And sometimes we just try to make sure we've got the rudder in the right spot for us that we can go on that. But we keep going. Academia is changing. The dynamics of it is really, really changing in so many ways. And that does trickle down and affect us. So, we'll see. We do know we're losing ABAC. I wish them the best of luck. I hate to see them go. ABAC's been in the conference for years, So, since, the 1980s. So, hate to lose them. I know Chuck Wimberly will do a great job in guiding them to the 4-year route. They'll be starting back basketball at some point at ABAC. So they're going to have to grow a little bit. They'll probably have some pains. Wish them luck. Hate to lose them, but we're going to keep on keeping on as far as us.
Dave Elner, thanks for being our guest. Thanks for the GCAA sponsorship of Gordon and Georgia Military College. And I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good, Robert. Look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
Well, as I mentioned, the conversation with Dave Elner goes a little bit longer than halftime of a basketball game. It was originally aired at the half of a football game, but you didn't miss a thing. Okay, a few dribbles, no points. Opening possession of the second half belonging to East Georgia State. They dribble out of bounds. And Florida Southwestern's got it. Let's take a quick look at some first half stats. Better shooting percentage for Florida Southwestern. Better from behind the arc, percentage-wise, for East Georgia. But the big number, those rebounds. 10 more for Florida Southwestern as compared to East Georgia. And second half action underway. Let's take a look at some of the statistics individually. Team leaders, Florida Southwestern, A.J. Hopkins with the 4 threes, leads everybody with 12. Top rebounder, Lindsay with 6. Tops in assists, Franklin for Florida Southwestern with 4. Tyrone Baker had 2 block shots, and most time on the floor. Hopkins and Lindsay both with 16 minutes and 39 seconds. Austin Colton tops in scoring for East Georgia with 11. Top rebounders Lewis and Reynolds both had 3 in the first half for the Bobcats. And most time on the floor, it was Lewis and it was Colton, both with a little better than 13 minutes. Looking at the foul issues, there are 3 with 2 fouls for Florida Southwestern. Baker's got 2, McKeer's got 2, and Jones has 2. Meanwhile, for the Bobcats, 2 each for McDowell and Colbert. Points off turnovers, 17 for Florida Southwestern, 4 for East Georgia for their bench, 11 for Florida Southwestern, and 16 from East Georgia State. The largest first half lead was 25. Lead changed hands 4 times. The game was tied once at 6 each. And there you have it. First half stats. 3-pointer dropped in. Bobcats cut it to a 17-point game. After the Buccaneers jumped out in front by 25, the closest the Bobcats would come was 16. It is 17 now. And lost, Colton's got it. Heads to the other end of the floor, puts up the shot, drops it in. It's a 15-point game. And lots of time left in this one. Over it goes to Franklin with the drive. Shot is no good. Bourne is into the hands of Colbert. Lewis trying to put it in the corner. In the hands of Coleman. It is tipped out of bounds by Lindsay. Hey, a reminder, game coverage not only available on our website, it is available on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, hey, do you mind subscribing? I mean, you don't have to. You can watch the game without subscribing, but I'd love you to subscribe to the channel, and that means you get the alerts as to what's coming up, what's created, the link, and then when that link goes active. Lindsay almost lost it. Able to get it back, and then there was a foul. And that foul committed by Jalen Colbert. That'll be at least 3 on Colbert. Brought in from the baseline by Franklin. Back over to Franklin in the corner. And of course you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. And what's left? Oh, Twitter. Or X. I think I've talked about this previously. I'm revolting. You know the change? Twitter to X. And I know that's just got Elon Musk in an uproar. I am being facetious. He's like, who's JockJive? 48-33 game. But again, we'd love to have you following, befriending, watching, TikToking, threading, stolen away. Franklin to the other end of the floor, reaching in is Coleman and committing the foul. And that will get Franklin at the stripe shooting, 15.5 to go in the game. First of 3 played today. Got one more men's game, Coastal Alabama South and South Georgia Tech. And then another ACCC-GCAA matchup with Chattanooga Valley taking on the ladies of South Georgia Tech around 5 o'clock this afternoon. Lewis to the other end of the floor, the lay-in for 2. It is now 14, the separation between the two. Fed out to Hopkins, went on that tear, 4 straight threes. There's a long 2 dropped in by Thomas. And of course, too, there's stuff on our YouTube channel, by the way, that you don't find anywhere else. You don't find it on our website. You don't find it on Facebook. Like Conversations, the one with Daniel Head, the AD at Coastal Alabama. and uncut. You're going to get a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the JUCO Weekly podcast starting next week. That's all on YouTube only. Fanta Lindsay leans in, tried the little scoop, wouldn't drop. Able to snag the rebound. That was Monet. Gallman's got it out front. Whipped over to Gallman, steps behind the three, puts up the long ball, no good. Hopkins with the board, hands it over to Lindsay. Back it goes to Hopkins. There's his 5th three of the game. Back to a 19-point advantage. It has been as much as 25. Fanta Lewis looks down low, goes out front to Gallman, brings it to the elbow, whips it out in front. Monair taking the three. That may be a long 2. I think I saw the official indicate a 2 versus a 3. Must have had the tippy toes on the arc. Lindsay getting the bucket and getting fouled. Colbert committing the personal. Lindsay with an opportunity for the 3-point play. But it apparently will happen after the timeout. You know we do the media timeouts in the GCAA. Got a break in the action at the 13-12 mark.
South Georgia Technical College, where we make it happen.
Whether your dream is to become a welder, a nurse, a restaurant owner, electrician, or aircraft mechanic, South Georgia Technical College can help you make it happen. SGTC has over 200 associate degree, diploma, and technical certificate of credit programs of study available. Visit our website at southgatech.edu for more information or to apply, or call 800-928-0283.
So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen.
Travis Garrett's Bobcats 0-3 with an overtime loss last night to Coastal Alabama South. But Travis Garrett will have his team ready come the end of the year. When you get to the end of the year, they will be right in the thick of things where the GCAA is concerned. Has a knack for molding these players and teams into a contender at the end of the year. Lindsay, who is in double digits, as a matter of fact, has taken the scoring lead from teammate Hopkins now with 13 in the game. Of course, the overall top scorer is Colton with 15 for the Bobcats. A hanger in Americus, Georgia. What a neat place, by the way, too. If you're planning a trip and you want to do stuff in addition to watching some great basketball here, then Americus, super place. Got a little lean in, and the shot from a gentleman for whom we have no name. I do not see it. 33. Yeah, I do. Lou Saint leaning in for the 2. Just got to go on down the roster. And there you will see a 3 and a 3. Got the 2 on the other end of the floor. Lindsay at the stripe on this end. But here in America, it's got the Windsor Hotel, which is bona fide, certified, verified, haunted. I don't know how they do that kind of verification, but it is gorgeous. Turn of the century and not the past century, like a century back. And then you've got Andersonville, where the cemetery is, the former prisoner of war camp in the Civil War. Got Plains nearby, home of Jimmy Carter. There's a lot of history involved with this area. Dan Reeves was from here. I think Chan Gailey was too. Off the glass, bucket counts for Zaharias Baker, and he'll draw the foul too. So he will head to the stripe shooting. Baker averaging a point a game, but he's already got that and more. 2 looking for 3 in the contest. A little strong on the free throw, but Gallman able to grab the board. Whips it over to Colton. He wants more than 15. He's got 18 on the big three-pointer. Got a jump ball. Reaching in to create the jump was Baker. And it's a 14-point game again, while timeout is asked for by Florida Southwestern. And these pesky Bobcats, like Georgia Nance, not going away. Got a 14-point ball game in the 12:04 mark. Second half action here on JockJive. I took a peek at some JUCO football scores. The only score available was Snow and Monroe. Snow with a 7-6 lead, but a big day in junior college football. 1 and 2, Hutch and Iowa Western. Mississippi playoffs, Colin and Northwest, Gulf Coast and East Mississippi. Big day playoff-wise in Texas, Kilgore and New Mexico Military, Trinity Valley, and I think it is Tyler. No, it's Navarro, I believe. Over to Baker, given to the timeline to Hopkins. Gregory into the game to the elbow. A toss from Jones down low, then outside to Hopkins, and he hits another 3. And apparently a foul. Is it on Gallman? No, it is Jonathan Monaire. And Monaire picking up his 4th personal. Check that, it's his first. My apologies. Looking at the wrong side of the new scoreboard here. Gave him 1 point and 4 fouls. It's just the other way around. 4 points and 1 foul. Out front to Coleman. Over it goes to Lucent. Feeds to Monaire, and Monaire with a miss. Wrapped up by Baker. That is kicked away, a dive for it. And then reaching and simply taking it. I want that. Baker. It'll go out of bounds. And last got a Bobcat. Yeah, you got a Baker, by the way, on both sides of the floor. Tyrone Baker on the Florida side, and you've got Zaharias Baker on the Georgia side. Over it goes to Gregory, and that shot from the corner, no good. Colton's got it. 18 points in the game for Colton. Works it to the top of the key, sets up the offense. Over it goes to Coleman. On the floor with the dribble. Hopkins defending. Stepping in to try to defend underneath was Gregory. And Gregory will commit the foul. That is the first on Gregory. In a 19-point game with Gallman shooting. And at the 10-minute mark, somebody's decided it's break time.
You've played some travel ball, you've shared the videos. Mom and Dad can only root so much. It's time to get real interest from the colleges and scouts in your area, right where you live. That's why the Showcase Series is different. We're not just another tournament, we're an advancement event where you get real-time exposure with live TV coverage of our games that get you seen directly by the coaches you want to impress from anywhere in the world. Register for events at showcaseseries.org. It's your turn at bat.
Exactly 10 minutes to play in this one, a 63-44 contest. Your Jets Veterans Day Classic here on JockJive. And thanks so much, too, to South Georgia Tech for the opportunity to spend a couple of days here in Americus. Jason was here yesterday. And you stuck with me today. Had some football last night in Jacksonville, Alabama. Made about half the trip last night and the other half this morning. And I think we might be through with our football coverage for the year. I have to check and see. We might have a game or two left for the SIAC. But I know Georgia Military is through and Bayside Academy is through. Gonna roll around the cylinder and drop in for Gallman. Let's see, do we have anything next week for the SIAC? I'm looking at my Google Calendar at the moment, and I don't see anything. So we must be done with football. Covering some soccer this weekend for the Gulf South Conference today and for the South Atlantic Conference tomorrow, and that'll wrap up our soccer coverage of the year. And then I guess we're just focused almost exclusively on basketball. Trying to think if we've got any other sports mixed in for the next couple of months. And I can think of none. I do have a little volleyball. Got Gulf South Conference and South Atlantic Conference volleyball next week. Then after that, nothing but basketball until late January. Whistle and foul in the paint. It'll be called on Jones, his third. Well, originally you had a Bobcat at the stripe planning on shooting. Officials say it's non-shooting. Coleman over to McDowell. Back it goes to Coleman. Brings it down low. Colton's open. McDowell gets it. Feeds over to Monair. Monair with a miss. And Paul able to track it down. Hand it over to Lindsay. Flips it to the other side of the floor. Gregory's got it. Bringing it baseline. Miss dribble. Is that a word? Miss dribble. Able to regain possession. Fires it over to Lindsay, and then there's a foul. And Lindsay, who's got 15 in the game at the stripe. The only fellow on the floor with more is Colton for East Georgia with a total of 18. Good free throw shooting team, but Lindsay missing the first of two. A little less than 9 to play in the game. But don't go anywhere. Plenty of basketball before the day is done. One more men's game and a ladies' game too. Lucane over to McDowell. He'll put up the three ball and rims out. Bourne grabbed by Gregory to the other end of the floor. Hopkins. And that is dropped in for two. Lead goes back to 20. It has been as much as 25. McDowell. Rocket inside to Lucane. Lucane with a miss. And Lindsay working on a double-double. May have that. Had 6 rebounds in the first half. And I'm thinking he's got at least 4 in this half. Misfires on the pass to Jones. And the Bobcats down by 20. Looking at that clock, putting them in an area where they got to make a run. I mean, you're not quite there yet. You can score a lot of points and do it quickly in this fast-paced game of college basketball, but you got to do it pretty quick. Sintab into the game. Grant into the game as well for East Georgia State. Put in play by Gallman from the near sidelines. Grant's got it. Over to Lucane. Gallman out front. Works it to the stripe. Nothing there. Sindat. Back over to Gallman. Shot clock into single digits. From the corner, Monair missing on the 3. Rebounded by Baker. Over it goes to Gregory. Back out front, Baker, and then to Lindsay. That is Jalen Winger. Misfiring from long range. Sintam bringing it right side. He will bank it off the glass. Nearly and now taken away by Grant and company. Sintam, another 2. And it's a 16-point game. Lob down to Jones. He and Lucane battling. A little sky hook from Jones. Grant into the paint. Lucane over Baker for a pair. Lindsay pushing it to the other end of the floor. Baseline move. Outside of the arc. Looks down low and goes out front to Gregory. Back over to Lindsay, open for the 3. Wide right, Sindam's got it. Lindsay will reach in, tip it away, but out of bounds. So the Bobcats put it in play from the near sidelines. Gallman to handle the chores at the 6:02 mark. And apparently got a 10-second violation. Grant unaware that About 4 of the original 10 ticked off prior to the tip out of bounds. Gregory coming out of the corner. Baker lobbing it down low to Jones, reaching in. Grant took it away. Gallman's got it. Into the paint, left-handed shot, rims out. Baker with a board. Gregory short on the shot on the other end of the floor, but a blocking foul on Sindab. And that's got Gregory at the stripe. Colton and his 18 points back into the ball game for the Bobcats. And Lucent will come out. Jalen Colbert back in too. Gregory able to get it back, lay it in. Back to a 19-point lead with 5:17 to go. And then the steal, the flip into the paint, lost. Colton's got it. Well, if you're the Bobcats, it's now. You can't wait any longer. The run's got to start now inside 5. Franklin's got it going the other way. Thomas to Baker, misses on the 3. Sindab with it. Back it goes to Sindab. 4.5 to go. Coleman getting into Grant. Trying to shed himself of the Thomas defense. Back it goes to Grant. Short on the shot, got it back. Slides between defenders, misfires a second time. Jones with it. Flipped over to Thomas, and he'll get the favorable roll on the 3. Sindab nearly taken away, now is stolen by Franklin. He'll lay it in, and the lead is 24. Biggest lead of the game, 25. And now as that slips off the fingertips of Grant, an opportunity to exceed that for the Buccaneers to have a timeout on the floor. 3:32. First net ball after the 5-minute mark. Media timeout with Florida Southwestern 3:32 away from likely going over the 500 mark.
South Georgia Technical College, where we make it happen.
Whether your dream is to become a welder, a nurse, a restaurant owner, electrician, or aircraft mechanic, South Georgia Technical College can help you make it happen. SGTC has over 200 associate degree, diploma, and technical certificate of credit programs of study available. Visit our website at southgatech.edu for more information or to apply, or call 800-928-0283.
So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen.
Going to look at Travis Garrett, head coach of East Georgia State. Not one to hit the panic button, as we mentioned. Season a work in progress, and it's very, very early in the year. And his MO is to have this team ready to roll conference time. and in the thick of things at the end of the year. Florida Southwestern, they've got a history of their own. Some great basketball. As to the line shooting is Thomas. And here's a big part of the reason for that success, Eric Murphy. Head coach at Florida Southwestern. Got to be pretty pleased with the rebound of his Florida Southwestern squad. After the loss to South Georgia Tech. That has matched the largest lead of the game for Florida Southwestern at 25. McDowell near the timeline, bringing it to the top of the key. Colton's got 18, needs a bucket to hit 20. Leaning in Monaire. Rim, glass, and rim, but he got 2. Hopkins feeds over to Winger, and Winger with a miss. The putback good from Paul. And this Buccaneer squad that's averaged 80 plus a game's got 80 plus. Jammed in by Paul. Lewis with it in the corner, brings it to the elbow into the paint. Leans in, a little scoop for 2. Thomas pushing it. And you got a blocking foul on Justin Wallace. And Thomas will go to the stripe shooting. First foul on Wallace. Thomas with 12 in the game. One of 3 double-digit scorers, Hopkins, Lindsay, and Thomas for Florida Southwestern. Thomas, a sophomore. This is the free throw. That is Nate Parker, by the way, that is checking into the ball game for the Bobcats. McDowell's miss, tracked down in the corner by Paul. Timeout on the floor for a mere substitution. Ahmad Sumaharo checking into the ball game for Florida Southwestern. And I think with that, everybody has had an opportunity to get on the floor. For Florida Southwestern, I think the same is practically true for East Georgia State. Off the side of the backboard for Sumaharo. This time he will reach and drop it in. Hand off to Parker, and it comes up a little bit short. Lewis able to come down with the board. Into the corner to Monaire, puts up the long 2. It's too long. Rebounded by Bashir Kamara. And your shot and your game time are nearly identical. Winger with a miss. Trying to grab it back. Parker wanted it, got a jump ball. Possession arrow will keep it on this end of the floor. Well, and now your shot clock is officially off. And your game clock says this one is over. 87-56 your final score. In the third of 4 Veterans Day Jet Classic games. Finding the score down, I think it was 87-56 the final. They quickly get the score off the board here to get prepped for the next game, but it was a Florida Southwestern win. That we know for certain. And we know we've got 2 more games to go, 1 men, 1 ladies. Coastal Alabama South, South Georgia Tech in about 28 minutes. And yep, we'll have the coverage for you on JockJive and YouTube. Hey, thanks for watching. For all the folks with Jets basketball and JockJive, I'm Robert Williamson. So long, everybody.